Okay, we're having a conversation. I'm deciding I'm going to listen to you, right? That's different than how people generally communicate, because usually when they communicate, they're doing something like, okay, we're going to have a conversation and I'm going to tell you why I'm right and I'll win if you agree. Or maybe you're having a conversation where, I don't know what you're trying to do. Maybe you're trying to impress the person you're talking to. So you're not listening to them at all. You're just thinking about what you're going to say next. Okay, so that's not this. This is, you might have something to tell me. And so I'm going to listen on the off chance that you'll tell me something that would really be useful for me to know. And so you could think about it as an extension of the Piagetian. Piaget talked about the fundamentally important element of knowledge being to describe how knowledge is sought, the process by which knowledge is generated. Well, if you agree with me and I find that out, I know nothing more than I knew before. I just know what I knew before. And maybe I'm happy about that because, it didn't get challenged. But I'm no smarter than I was before. But maybe you're different than me, and so while I'm listening to you, you'll tell me something I don't like. Maybe it's something I find contemptible or difficult, whatever. Maybe you'll tell me something I don't know, and then I won't be quite as stupid. And then maybe I won't run painfully into quite as many things. And that's a really useful thing to know, especially if you live with someone and you're trying to make long-term peace with them, is they are not the same as you. And their way they look at the world and the facts that they pull out of the world aren't the same as your facts. And even though you're going to be overwhelmed with the proclivity to demonstrate that you're right, it is the case that two brains are better than one. And so maybe 9 of the 10 things they tell you are dispensable, or maybe even 49 out of 50, but one thing, all you need to get out of the damn conversation is one thing you don't know. And one of the things that's very cool about a good psychotherapeutic session is that the whole conversation is like that. All you're doing is trying to express the truth of the situation as clearly as possible. That's it. And so, now, Roger's proposition, and I'll tell you why he derived it, was that if you have a conversation like that with someone, it will make both of you better. It'll make both of you psychologically healthier. So there's an implicit presupposition that the exchange of truth is curative. Well, that's a very cool idea. I mean, it's a very deep idea. I think it's the most profound idea. It's the idea upon which Western civilization, although not only Western civilization, is actually predicated. The idea that truth produces health. But for Rogers, that was the entire purpose of the Psychotherapeutic Alliance. You come to see me because you want to be better. You don't even know what that means necessarily, neither do I. We're going to figure that out together. But you come and you say, look, things are not acceptable to me, and maybe there's something I could do about that. So that's the minimal precondition to engage in therapy. Something's wrong, you're willing to talk about it truthfully, and you want it to be better. Without that, the therapeutic relationship does not get off the ground. And so then you might ask, well, what relationships are therapeutic? And the answer to that would be, if you have a real relationship, it's therapeutic. If it isn't, what you have is not a relationship. God only knows what you have. You're a slave, they're a tyrant, you're both butting heads with one another. It's a primate dominance hierarchy dispute. Oh, I don't know, you're like 2 cats in a barrel, or 2 people with their hands around each other's throats. But what you have is not a relationship. And it's extraordinarily useful for people because it's often difficult for anyone to find anyone to talk to that will actually listen. And so another thing that's really strange about this listening is that if you listen to people, they will tell you the weirdest bloody things so fast you just cannot believe it. So if you're having a conversation with someone and it's dull, it's because you're stupid. That's why. You're not listening to them properly because they're weird. They're like wombats or albatrosses or rhinoceroses or something. Like, they're strange creatures. And so if you were actually communicating with them and they were telling you how weird they really are, it would be anything but boring. So, and you can ask questions. That's a really good way of listening. But, one of Roger's points is, well, you have to be oriented properly in order to listen. And the orientation has to be, look, what I want out of this conversation is that the place we both end up is better than the place we left. That's it. That's what I'm after. And if you're not after that, you got to think, why the hell wouldn't you be after that? What could you possibly be after that would be better than that? You walk away smarter and more well-equipped for the world than you were before you had the conversation, and so does the other person. Well, maybe if you're bitter and resentful and angry and anxious and, you know, generally annoyed at the world, then that isn't what you want. You want the other person to walk away worse, and you too, because you're full of revenge. But, you know, you'll get what you want if you do that.
Honored to be in these situations that I could use my voice and do the things I do. Yeah, I'm inspired by, you know, life and all sorts of things. You can say something right now and it would inspire me to write a song or something to happen. You know, most kings just happen to be inspired by Basquiat drawing. You know, the drawing, and you had most young kings get their head cut off on the bottom. And I looked at that and I was like, it's powerful. You know, just the statement in itself, you know, lends itself for a song. Song starts inspired by Basquiat. My chariot's on fire. Everybody took shots, hit my body up, I'm tired. And then it's just, they build me up to break me down, to build me up again. They're like, oh, we need you back so we could kill your ass again. You know, it's like this thing, this love, hate thing that the world has with success, period. I walk in every room as myself. I don't walk in any room as anyone else. I'm not cowering, I'm not speaking soft, my voice doesn't change, it sounds exactly the same way. I'm walking as myself and proud, and I speak for us, and that gives me a joy. I'm honored to be in those rooms, and so yes. It's like, you know, don't listen to anyone. Everybody's scared. You know, everyone tells you how things worked out, but it worked out for you that way. So don't listen to anyone because their experience is unique to who they are. You know what I mean? And then a lot of people will try to put their fears on you. You can't do that. No, you can't do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they just projecting, they're putting things that they don't believe that they can do on you. And you may possibly do it. Like my uncle, like he was telling me, like, my uncle said I never sell 1 million records. I sold 1 million records like 1 million times. You know, so he was, I'm his nephew. I don't think he meant any malice.
He wanted the best for you, but
he just was projecting his fears and things that, are you crazy? How are you gonna do that? How? You know, I'm sure there's things that I do now that he can't believe that I was able to accomplish. But he couldn't even see it at the time. So he was just projecting, putting his fears on me. So the whole thing is just, you know, and always believe you're great, even before anybody else believes it. You know, it's an extension of my family. It's like the things that I do. I tell my family all the time. I tell my grandmother, my mom, you know, they're proud. They're super proud and strong women, and they won't ask me for anything. And I say, man, you know, there are times where I don't want to get my picture taken, and I want to eat, and you know, paparazzi like take photos in your face and screaming at you and like taking pictures, and you can't take your kid to the park. And I'm like, those are the sort of things that give the reason why I'm okay with it, and why I can cope and live with these things without, you know, as much as a complaint. It's the things that it allows me to do, the spaces that it affords me, the rooms I'm allowed to go in as myself. It deals for the most part with success. It deals with people who you started your life off with and what success does to them. People look at you strange saying you changed, like you worked that hard to stay the same, like you're doing all this for a reason. And what happens most of the time, people change. People change around you because they start treating you different because of your success. So you are changing. You don't change who you are, the core of who you are, the things you believe, the things you love, and the things you die for, and your principles. You don't change that, but you're going to change who you are. You're going to change. You know, you can't do the same things that you can't hang on the corner. Some people may not be comfortable with that. And then it deals with the other side of success, how people look at you when you're successful. Media medals, people sue you, settle. Every step you take, they remind you get it. So no matter how far you are, you still have that stigma on you of where you come from when you walk inside the door. Even if you have a tuxedo on, it's like, oh yeah, that's the guy who used to be this and did that. Most kings get their head cut off, right? I mean, in war, battle, and in life. At the end of the day, you've achieved everything you want. You've made it to the top of the throne, and at the end of the day, you just get your head cut off. Do things that are true to you. You know, most things that I'm involved with are extension of being creative. You know, Rockaway is a clothing company. You know, it's part of who you are, and hip hop is your attitude. And what you're trying to express, how you dress. You know, I love sports growing up. I grew up in a household where sports is on 24/7. So these are all things that are, you know, are comfortable for me. You know, these are things that I like. So I would just say get involved in things that you love, and also have a standard for yourself and have some sort of integrity, and try to, you know, find some sort of truth in what you're doing.